Welcome back to the Green Couch.
This is the Green Couch.
This is the Green Couch. We back. We got some new pillows and some new wall art. I think we probably introduced this to y'all last time.
Well, yes, but we haven't put that video up yet.
Right.
So
we got
this time, we haven't. But by the time this video is up, we would have.
Yes. Boom.
Or something like that.
But today's topic that we'll be discussing is communication.
Yes.
Right? But we wanted to talk about communication and like the hard pills to swallow when it comes to communication in relationships. At least target that first. You want to dive into that?
Because we're talking about like romantic relationships. Cause I feel like we all have. A relationship is, you could even have a relationship with your like favorite mug.
This is literally my favorite cup. Now it's gone forever, so it's not real, and I don't care about it anymore.
Oh no, my favorite window!
Yes.
This isn't my favorite mug. It's just a yellow mug.
Yeah.
But you mean specifically?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know really where to start with this because truthfully, I wanted to talk about communication with self first.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that overflows into our relationships. It's like the dialogue that we have with ourselves. I'm really anxious when I have to confront conflict. So I just get really fearful really, like, to be honest, with myself.
The way I was thinking about it is like, how do you talk to yourself, or how does your inner voice talk to you? Mm-hmm. Like, are you nice to yourself or are you mean to yourself? So like, if you talk to yourself like nicely and with respect, generally I'm assuming you're probably going to speak to other people with respect. If you speak to yourself negatively, if you're constantly downing yourself or disrespecting yourself, then I wouldn't be surprised if you were constantly, downing other people or talking negatively to other people or disrespecting other people. So I agree. I started, I guess, being happier or having joy or having a sense of peace, like a flat, like a baseline of peace, where
It's the look. I wish you guys
it's like,
are we talking too loud?
Right. But I had now having a baseline of joy and peace and all of that, and looking back at how when I didn't, I was a lot meaner to people. I'm not saying I'm perfect now. Still working on it. I was really disrespectful on various just different levels of people, from strangers to my partner and my parents, even my dog, But I was really like, I just felt really like I was a bad person. I just had all of this very negative feelings about myself, and so of course they didn't project myself. I guess it's kind of like, well, if I'm bad, I don't even know what the sense is, because I can see other people, and I know that I didn't keep bad people around me.
I agree with that. I feel like for me, when I think about it in hindsight, it starts with that self-love and self-acceptance. I didn't walk around intentionally wanting to be mean to people or even show that I didn't love myself, but traumas in life play a part in that, and it becomes your subconscious, and I think that's why it's easy for us to kind of not think about it and walk through life thinking that everything is okay, and you're really not.
Yeah.
This is what I feel like we should pay more attention to, is that dialogue. You don't have to talk to yourself. You don't need to hear yourself, but your dialogue is really mental in your heart. And I feel like if we got to, like, I'm gonna speak for myself. If I just do the work and become
just made me think about how, oh man, it's complicated because it's like I knew I went through the experience. I knew it caused me trauma, but I didn't understand how like a near drowning event that when I was 6 played into my anxiety and anger. When I started feeling the same type of anxiety, it would be like a trap feeling, like I was drowning. And that trap feeling kind of just like expelled in anger, as it feels like I couldn't get away. Now that I can like actually understand that that is kind of what's happening when my anxiety is triggered, I'm able to, it's not even the same connect. Like it's the same feeling, but it's not necessarily. That exercise we did with our counselor where we spoke to our younger selves, that was probably the biggest thing for me, because somewhere inside of me there was like a chunk of me that was trapped, and I was there alone, scared as a little boy.
Wow.
And I had forgotten myself there.
Wow.
And I went and like revisited myself, and I stick myself there, and it was so cool because our therapist was like, all right, so now your younger self wants to show you something, and like what are they showing you? And my younger self was able to remind me of all the other positive things that I did have.
Wow, yeah.
And so it was almost like, don't worry about this thing that had happened to us. Like, think about all of these other amazing things that happened before and after this tragic event. And it's really helped me deal with the anxiety that I have.
Yeah.
Long story short, it's a lot easier to understand.
Right, when something is coming your way and you're being confronted, the same feelings are there, and you'll be able to recognize it. And I think for me, if it wasn't for therapy, I would have always been lost, because traumatic experiences would happen to me in my past and I would just go numb. I would kind of block it out and not give it its seriousness, and not respect myself enough to even feel the emotion. Like, so a lot of it was just like piling up on each other. Like everything started piling up on each other, and I just wanted to blame everybody around me. It's just something to take your own accountability and to recognize that there was some self-neglect. And therapy, I'm gonna always condone therapy. Like, oh my God, I feel like everybody, I tell him this all the time, I feel like everybody on this earth must have free psychological, psychiatric, whatever. It should just be free, because we have to go back to that little girl or that little boy. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want to exclude anybody, but we have to go back to that,
to our childhood self.
To our childhood self. Thank you. To our childhood self. I try to be inclusive as much, and it's just like, Shajira, chill out. You have to be mindful of what you say to people. And first and foremost, in my opinion, you have to be mindful of what you say to yourself. And then don't trick yourself to believe lies, because I feel like you said this last night, we self-sabotage off of the lies that we live and tell ourselves. It's a big old tornado and whirlwind, and I'm just only speaking light of it. Like, I've caused a lot of damage to my family because I didn't want at first, right? I didn't want to have that conversation with myself. I didn't want to confront past conflicts, and I didn't want them to be true. I didn't want them to exist anymore. I thought that if I just don't think about it, it will all go away. Avoidance. No matter who you're dealing with, they should always know what page you're on with them.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a difference between aggression and assertion. And I think a lot of people mistake aggression for them being assertive, which is that whole like, I don't care what people have to think, I'm gonna say what I have to say.
Oh yeah. And
no, you should be able to say what you have to say, but the assertion is still being mindful of other people, especially if you're gonna be in a relationship, especially if you're gonna have children. Those like really close ones, but even with strangers, because you never know who's watching you. You don't know what people are going through, and that's more of just like a safety tip.
Yeah.
He shushes me because he doesn't like the volume of my conversation. Next thing he knows, he's chopped the bits in the basement somewhere, you know? Was that worth it?
No.
Be nice, or you know.
Yeah.
Even if you're going through a bad day, even if a person gives you their ass to kiss, that's the hardest part.
Yeah, turning the other cheek.
Yeah, just being like, you know what?
Yeah.
Like that happened to us. We had a gentleman accost us of sorts in the gas station.
Wow.
And we kind of reeled it back, but as we were driving away, we were watching him. His hood's up, like he's at the gas station, clearly having a bad day.
And this is so funny because I've tapping into myself has brought me closer to God, right? And now that I'm changing my vocabulary, changing my behavior, changing my actions, and you know, I'm trying. This is a daily work. This is not just a poof and it's here. And here comes this man that don't know me. I know I look small, but this day was already high emotions. I had to confront someone that I've known for so long the same day, and here comes this man in a gas station talking to me like he knew me.
Don't be talking to me like you know me, huh?
When, you know, you step outside to get a fresher breath of air, luckily that's what we did. We noticed that he was having a bad day, and then he tries to come back with, you know, even more negativity and sarcasm. And that's the joy of having a partner, is like you get this constant reminder, like, yo, his problem is not even about him as a person. He's clearly gone through some things.
We don't even know what his mental state was.
Right.
Stop it. Get some help.
That, for me, just in hindsight, lets me know that we absorb what other people say and how they act and what they do when they do something against us. And that's just not a good route. Like, your emotions and your mind can either manipulate you or encourage you. And then once you realize that and you continue to work on that, it starts to flow in your relationships, whether it be intimate, business, friendships, your children. They start to see that you have a self-respect and self-love, and for me, you have a source, a foundation, God, that is reminding you every day as well who you are and whose you are. So we have to be mindful of that too, because we be asking God to bless us, or we be praying to whoever you know you pray to, and don't even know, we don't even recognize that we can't keep what we ask for because we haven't got it together. There's something going on inside of me. It ain't really what they're doing. What am I communicating with myself, and what have I seen and heard, watch? You know what I'm saying? Like, all of that is forms of communication. TV, music, your friends. There's so many voices that play in our head.
Yeah, I was a comm major for my first year and a half of college. I was going to journalism, so we had to take like Comm 101, which was so very, very boring. But I do remember like these different theorists, like communication theorists, and they had like different diagrams of communication. But communication is input, so we've had input from each other all day. We've had input from social media. We've had input from strangers from going to the store. So there's communication coming in, and we're processing that in our brain, and then we put it back out. Came to a shock to her that your body language actually shows
like 59% of your communication is your body language. I have to get that together. And I'm highly, highly sensitive Like, I have my issues. One of my issues is my temperament, and I would say not being able to take the truth, you know, completely for what it is. It feels like you're constantly being like hit in the chest when the truth comes, but it is so important to acknowledge, you know, your patterns, you know, and how you were raised. I grew up in a home and in a family that exude those things. Telling the truth about what? It depends. We can't really be, and that's just something I don't believe in, is being selective on what you receive and what you think you're not receiving, because ain't no half-stepping when it comes to the truth, man. And I think it will be very valuable for us to pay attention to our upbringings and how we still perpetuate those patterns. Communication requires work and steady speed. Again, my temperament, I will be so anxious and like, oh my God, I just really want this conflict to be over. I really just I can't do this. I said what I said. And that would, and I'm not taking into fact anyone else's feelings, and yet I want to be treated a certain way. You need somebody to hold that mirror up, a friend, you know, family member, someone that you can really trust to say, you know what, I've noticed that I'm stagnant in my life, you know, unless you just come down to all on your knees and you just praying to the Lord to kind of show you, and he'll show you. He gonna show you.
You have to be open to when someone is truthful, but I think it is muddy because people around you they'll be actually like critical. They'll cut you down.
Oh, yeah.
And you will think that is loving critique, but then maybe down the line, because that person traumatized you, now someone who is actually giving you loving critique, you think it's criticism, and so you shut it down instantly, even though they are actually trying to provide that. Usually it's around my creative side, when some of my friends or you say something about something, it's so like, inside of me is instantly like, I'm being criticized, my art is being criticized, and I have to like take several minutes to several hours to like unwind that back to myself and be like, okay, so now I'm seeing what they're saying. So don't always act on your initial impulse. Understand like, okay,
why did they say that?
And is there
some truth?
Yeah.
What I don't like are yes men. That's what I don't. My problem has always been me shutting up. I will always know the right thing to do, but I will be too afraid to say anything because I just didn't want to deal with the conflict. And again, I just want to avoid. So, dang, I kind of lost my thought. And I was going to share that one story that I shared 1,000,000 times with him, but I got chewed out. You know what I'm saying? I had got chewed out because a gentleman shared his opinion about one creative, and her whole team was just like, he must die. And I was just like, I will never move off of impulse again on social media.
This is my advice that I'm giving to myself, so take it or leave it, because I feel like unsolicited advice and also advice from people that aren't following their own advice is unwise to follow. But I am trying my hardest not to comment on posts that get me in my feelings, because it will be impulsive things like that, and now my energy is getting messed up, and it's generally off of a stranger's comment or someone that I know but don't know. And you know what? Let me tell you this: if you've gotten a comment or a message or something like that sounds like I'm chastising you, it's because I actually really love you, and I view what you said as something that just like doesn't fit you. Because like sometimes I'll just see stuff and I just unfriend people. So if you have heard from me and I said something to you and I still talk to you, that means I actually really care. Social media has made us think that, how did I put it the other day? Because I think all of our opinions matter. but we think that our opinions are that important. Social media has given us a platform to be able to go into so many other people's spaces.
Yeah, personal space.
Whoa, whoa. Hey, who's around me right now? Who's around me?
Be open. That's another factor when it comes to communication with yourself. When you communicate and your dialogue starts to change, it expands out to your relationships, and people see an example of the ability of change, or the capability of change. I have the capacity to change. This goes for
a friend that we have from New Orleans. When I was going through a breakup, part of what he said is like, yo, you gotta be by yourself, man.
Yeah.
Like that was some great advice. He's like, you gotta figure it out. And that was kind of the advice. That was advice that I got from my ex. That's the advice that I got from quite a few people. Is like, you kind of gotta be alone, you know, and you gotta figure yourself out. And those type of conversations are always, in my opinion, and has been so far, involving God, and it's just growing. Like I'm no longer going to be apologetic about who I am. I'm being exactly who I am because I'm alone and I can hear myself. I'm alone and I'm not lonely. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I'm alone and I'm not fearful of it. You know, well, and trust me, you're going to feel alone. You're going to feel lonely. You're going to feel fearful. You're going to feel all those things. And it's all about daily breakthroughs. That's why I like Daniel so much. It's like you have purpose every day. There's a purpose every single day. And, bruh, Keyway is awesome because, yes, you have to be alone. Before we got together, we were in a long distance relationship for like a year.
About, which provided us some space, probably not enough, but it did provide us some space on our own ends. It was kind of cool though, because our relationship kept me from like going out and partying a lot. Like, you know, I was on Tinder, but my interest in you,
we didn't
like,
even know if we wanted to be with each other. Like, we'll do a video on that, like how we met, and go into detail about it. But that beginning of our relationship was very confusing, and we both were afraid, and then
unknown.
It was the uncertain. I love this man so much because he endured so much because I did not know how to communicate. I just did not know. I thought communicating was all about me and me and mine, and you're gonna listen to me, and I know what I'm saying because I'm right, because happy wife, happy life, before I'm even, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm pretty sure God was sitting there like, fool.
You're not down, fool.
Exes, right? Like, you made me think about communicating with your exes. How normal should this be? Like, knowing that you've hurt someone in the past. It's not about going back and reliving it or going back to apologize to them for the 500th time. But
3 times is probably good.
But we have social media. We have different ways to even see our exes and people from the past. It's like, how do you carry on that communication with them when you know you're just being who you are?
Yeah, I think I'm a weird person because if I don't have a issue, then there's no reason why I wouldn't still be like at least me like positive with that person. Like, I have an ex and it's really cool because we were together for a really long time, and after we broke up, just like you said, keeping intact, they're in touch through social media, watching stories, maybe messaging every once in a while. Like, I don't think we've seen each other in person since 2017 or something like that, but seeing her get married, seeing her buy a house, like all this stuff, it's like that's cool. Awesome. Like, that's awesome. Yeah. Like, you're just like, good for you. It's almost like watching a really good friend just do amazing in life.
And what comes naturally after that is this sense of joy. And when you see your exes thriving and doing what they they've always wanted to do, along with like your, guilt. Let's be real with these terms. It doesn't mean that you take ownership of guilt, but the guilt that you felt from treating her in such a way or treating him in such a way, you're gonna want to feel that. It's like it's almost gravitating to say, yo, I'm proud of you. I see you. And people need that encouragement. Like he said in the beginning, you don't know what people be going through. All of the answers, I feel, in forms of communication is all in you, because you are kind.
Yes.
I am gentle. I am slow to anger. I am a good listener.
We like, even though that's dumb. That's stupid. Like
Tried to reel it back.
Now that I have kids,
yeah,
and that's one of the biggest mirrors. Yeah, he will let me know when I'm saying bad words or when I'm being, when
too loud,
be too loud or mean. And it's cool. And I think this is where you can either go with change or not. You can be the type to be like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I'm grown. Don't correct me.
You're a grown baby.
And if you can apply that to him, this beautiful, smart, amazing mind, then of course you can apply it to literally anybody that will tell you anything about yourself.
And that's the thing. We can do that to our kids or children, because we feel like children just don't know.
There's no need to argue. Parents just don't understand.
It's not your child's responsibility, but to know that your child is picking up on those good things. I'm very, very, very serious about who my child is interacting with. And then when I think about it, because he's in school, he's going to interact with kids anyway. He's so strong-minded in himself that he hasn't let go of what his father and his mother is teaching him, or his father's and his mother's is teaching him, because it's a blessing.
Oh yeah,
it really is a blessing.
And that goes back to, because we just touched upon this, like having a conversation with your ex when there isn't a child involved.
Right.
When a child's involved, you're going to have to talk with your ex,
exactly.
Unless it's so toxic one of you is just out of the picture completely.
Yes.
Even if it's visitations on a weekend, a month, you still have to be able to communicate and co-parent with that person.
Yay! 2 Christmases!
And just being able to speak with yourselves, even if they're not on that path yet. Like you said, you can know yourself, so that if someone tries to come at me, I know, you know what, I'm going to retreat. I know,
right.
Like, or you know what, that doesn't really bother me because I know what's going on.
I know
my side.
I know who I am. But now I live with, and this has been something I've been hearing for the past like 2-3 days now, is argue for what? Argue for what? Why would I even want to step out of myself to raise my voice anymore? I'm working on that, but now changing my vocabulary. I have a saying, I have a phrase, and you can do that for yourself. Create your own phrases that will help you. Stop going to social media looking for memes and stuff. You have it in yourself. Why argue? That if I was taught that arguing was love, and that's false. Because you have a point doesn't mean it needs to be heard right away, impulsively. Let that point marinate. Come back to it later. So that way you're feeding good food to who's in front of you.
I also think dialectically, we're set up to think like diametrically, so opposing. Like we use ors a lot. Like either I'm right or you're right. We should use ands.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm right and you're right.
Yeah.
I'm valid and you're valid.
Yeah.
Like both of our
we
points
go.
have a validity to them. If I hurt you and you hurt me, that means, hey, we both feel offended at some point, or if you feel like, hey, this is how I feel about the situation, and I feel like, well, this is how I feel about the situation, well, we have different opinions on it.
Yeah.
Agree to disagree, you know, like
Yeah.
is a relationship worth the contention over the point that
Right.
you're building, you know, like with
Right.
co-parenting. Sometimes our parenting style, like we come from
Two
not-
different.
It
No, they are. We come
it
from.
is, but what you are, like my dad grew up the
Well,
way
we
that
talk
you grew
about
up.
you
Yeah, me specifically
me.
is very, and so
Because
we
the-
have to.
What the difference is, your parents didn't hold on to it. Your parents said, nah, F that. My entire family, my entire family held on to toxicity. But this is something that is constant in the Black and brown community, is thinking that is good communication. It's not, like, yeah, it's just not. But that, yeah, we come from the two different, but I really identify with his mother and his dad very well with the toxic communication, and I mean, his mother was so open to me and loving to me that she wanted me to she was warning me. She was telling me, look, I think you're facing this. You know, I lack of self-esteem. Like she was being that, but I could not receive it because till this day, everyone that I knew, because I'm praying that they change, everyone that I knew still communicates that way and think it's perfectly normal. And it ain't.
Yeah, it's like, I think sometimes people think, the louder I talk, the more right I am.
Right.
God damn it! I don't know how to express myself unless through anger and personal attack. I'm getting very upset because I'm not saying right. guys. I want a dog funeral.
The more I bully a situation, the more right I am. And you know,
my God, no.
I definitely used to like, and I have to like, this is a checking of myself because I'll be like, yo, okay, you're talking too much, you know, and you brought it up, but it's not something that I haven't checked before. When I was in a student group that I was in, luckily the student group was structured to keep people from being able to overspeak so much. Like we were ran by committee, it was Mecha.
Yeah.
And they're in the Chicano rights movement, there was definitely a history of male domination, male energy domination over the whole. So the way that it was set up was to allow more space for our mujeres and our non-gender binary and our trans members to be able to speak more, so that us, you know, more cis heterosexual males weren't so domineering in it. And it really did make me need to like, okay, shh,
Yeah.
let someone else talk.
I idolize the wrong people, if I can be quite honest.
motivating fed list.
You lie to yourself and say, oh well, everybody else is doing it, so it must be the right way to talk to myself. Especially, oh my God, women, like, it's this thing that we do when we self-sabotage and we pick at ourselves and I mean, the moment you try to correct a woman from, like, I mean, I've been guilty of it, and you say, no, you're beautiful, girl, I can talk like this, girl, like, you got something wrong with you too. Why don't we normalize that? Do we not realize who we are? And I think that's what it is. We don't realize who we are. We need to apologize to ourselves. We need to forgive ourselves. And we need to start talking to ourselves and not talking to everybody else.
Right.
And to validate us.
Let's address this too, because we both find it infuriating.
So,
Faking it till you make it. That is hustling backwards. That is putting the cart in front of the horse.
yeah.
Stop lying to yourself. Look, if you
Faking it
can't,
till you make it.
if you can't
So
afford
stupid. Sorry.
brand name, who
Cares?
cares? And if someone makes you feel bad for not, they're not your friends, and they don't deserve to have any opinion in your life.
I didn't grow up with much, so to fake it till you make it was really all internal. I never gave a damn about what I wore. I never gave a damn about my hair. I never gave a damn about wearing makeup. Like, I just never I never was that girl. I'm still the same, but I'm tapping into my feminine energy and learning to love myself and loving the woman and the body that I'm in. But yeah, we have to speak kind words to ourselves.
Yeah.
Faking it till you make it is not healthy.
No.
There's nothing normal about it.
It's miscommunication.
It's
lying. It's lying. It's lying. Just like it's lying to yourself and it's lying to other people. I think the other people is less of a worry. You should worry more about lying to yourself.
Yeah.
That's probably when we get into the most trouble. I've done it to myself, and it makes you. That's when you get into the pits. Like when you lie to yourself is when you get in those deep dark spots.
Yeah.
And when you're truthful about your faults and about your beauties.
Yeah.
You know, like
Be truthful about your boundaries too.
Yeah.
Set your boundaries, honey.
Don't be afraid to say no. Like no one owes you, or no one owes you anything, and that means you don't owe anybody anything. Caveat: if you have children that are, you know, under 18. I mean, I'm Mexican, so it'll probably be until they're 50.
You owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. When you stop lying to yourself, everything will fall into place. Like, I had to stop lying to who I was. Like, I am this person. There's a lot of ugly inside of me. I had to change it. I have to change it. It's not had. This is an everyday thing. And I think that's what we fear is the work. Like, that's just too much. Don't nobody know anyway. Oh, God knows. He's listening to you. The universe, whatever you want to say.
Hopefully we didn't ramble too much. I guess that's part of communication.
Yes, clear, concise, and considerate. I think a good helpful tip, if we're going to end with helpful tips, is being kind to yourself, so that way you know that when you face conflict, you start with being kind to that person. You start with a gentle way because you're practicing it with yourself. That's just something I'm working on, and I think a lot of people could take that and use that.
Don't be rushed to speak. Like, we'll have that a lot where I am trying to think about what I say because I don't want to say something that is mean. I'm just trying to not be impulsive anymore. Just speak at the pace that you need to speak at. And sometimes if you speak fast and impulsively, maybe like just breathe, take a second to think about it before speaking on it. You know who's a great example? Obama. Listen to how he speaks. Just he would take these pauses.
Yeah, he is.
Breathe and really think about what he wanted to say. I think that's a perfect person to just, if you could take anything from him, take his oratory abilities.
Communication requires work and steady speed. The best thing that I've done so far for me to realize, as well, like adding on to what I said, for me to realize how I've been treating myself and how I've been allowing people to treat me is being still and listening. Like, it's the toughest thing for me to do, but when you are still and you allow the person to speak, even if they are over talking you and yelling and you will pick up on the things that are now boundaries for you. Okay, I can see why you're hurt in this way. Now, once it starts getting crazy, it's okay for you to exclude yourself. Walk away from toxicity.
Take a break from the conversation.
Take a break from the conversation if it gets heated.
Right. Like communication is a lot of work. The other day I had to just close my eyes to be able to listen to her because otherwise I would have been like looking at that, looking at this, like not. So I had to just close my eyes to like tune my ears into what she was saying. And we're learning. Sometimes she thinks that I have like a great communication style, but I've been working on me since 2003, and shout out to the partners that I've had that have not had great communication from me and had to deal with that because
now I understand your patience a bit more.
Because I've been the person who was not good at communicating. I've been the person who said hurtful things and all of that stuff. So I can't. I can't. And that, don't judge. That's the last thing I'm gonna say. Is don't judge. Don't judge others.
Yeah.
Don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself for judging. You know, okay, judging is important for us to figure out what's safe or not. But if you judge, just let that pass. Like let thoughts pass, because we've both been in places where our thoughts will get caught in a cycle, like in an eddy in a river.
Yep.
Make your thoughts more like clouds. It sounds so cliche, but just like if it comes in your head,
I love it.
if it weirds you out, just like, you know what? That was just a thought. We all have
Plenty of them.
Our brains are weird.
The moment you wake up.
Yeah.
But do good, be good. Your emotions can either manipulate you or encourage you guys. So remember that next time you are communicating. We definitely want our channel to be about helping our community and inclusiveness, no judgment.
We gotta love each other.
Yeah.
This world is starting to, I mean, it's been so
dark
anyway, but it's even more so, like,
family is what you make it, y'all.
Nah, homie, what you make?
We not gonna keep y'all any longer. Thanks for tuning in with us about communication. We have so much more. Thank you for sticking with us too. Thank you for your loyalty.
Yes, and your continued support.
Yes.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys. Peace out.
Bye.
It's a whole lot of money in this mother.
Happy New Year! I wish we had like confetti or something.
Yes, thank you guys. Thank you guys for the ones that, you know, we see.
Yes, make a New Year's resolution to watch more Under the Sun TV.
And you're not just a subscriber. You are family.
You're
you are
community.
the community. You push. It's like a pay
You're
it
our
forward type
support.
vibe, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Mwah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We're not actually gonna drink this. It's not real. It's not really New Year's either.